Hi, everybody. It's Tara here with Beyond This Reality, and I'm excited to come to you today with another question that has been sent in. Again, I'm an artist and a self-development coach where I help people to move from being tangled up in the negative patterns that are in your mind or in your emotions, even from your family background, into a space of emerging into deeper connection, fulfillment, and a life really of full color. So today's question is one that has some heaviness to it, and yet we're going to bring some freedom into it. So this person writes in and she asked, she has a few people in her life who have lost loved ones. And none of these people are really close to her. So they're a little bit distant. She knows of them, and they're different ages. So, but they're sudden losses, right? So one is a younger girl. Another one is a man she knows. There's 2 to 3 deaths that happened within a short span of time. And she reached out just saying, my body is like so upset about this. What's going on and how do I deal with it? Right? And so immediately I asked her to really tap into her body and her body's awareness and to move into the space of acknowledgement. And I would just want to give that to you guys, like the space of acknowledgement that we give to ourselves, to our bodies, and to our awareness is life changing. It's that space of recognition. It's a space of approval, even, and appreciation. And so, are we willing to give it to ourselves? And she's been doing a lot of work energetically, and so her awareness has grown. And when your awareness grows, sometimes it doesn't always show up as sparkles and softness. Like sometimes it shows up as sensing the immensity of pain that's around you. Really not just sensing it, not just with your mind, but your body is receiving all of that whole wave of energy that's coming through. And when it comes through our bodies, many times it finds the thing inside of it. So it finds anywhere inside of us that is like it. So anywhere inside of us that's in deep pain, that is grieving, it might be for another person, or it might be grieving for the changes that are in our lives or the things that we've had to let go of. We don't always know. And so that's why energy precedes thought. Because many times we get this wave of energy and we're like, what is it? And yet it goes energy or awareness, however you want to call it, emotions, body, thought. And so the energy comes in, energy, body, emotions, thought. It hits our body and our emotions, and then, we try to figure it out. Before you even move to the figuring it out, are you just willing to honor your awareness, honor the energy that's coming through, and not fix it? If your body is sensing and feeling grief, are you willing to allow it to move through you in whatever way it desires? So are you willing to grieve? What if that energy coming in was the invitation for you to finally cry about something that you're not even aware of with your brain yet, but your whole body and your sensations are aware of, that if you just let it out, you can move back to the space of you again? Are you willing to honor that you might even be grieving merely for another person because their loss just hits you so deeply? Are you willing to grieve for what you're aware of that other person is going through? And you don't even have to let them know that you're grieving for their loss. Are you willing not to make that wrong, but just to be in that space and honor it? The really awesome thing is when I reached out to her later, she was in a totally different space. She was like, really allowing myself to grieve without figuring out why I'm grieving, but just to cry and to nurture myself. And she went into like huddling up under covers and having a hot drink and whatever else she wanted to do that day. She really went into just doing some self-care to allow it all to flow out of her body. And it did. And then she was able to be back into the space of her and show up in her life and for others in the way that she wanted to. Now, the reason I bring you this video and this question is because she's aware, and I'm aware, that she's not the only one who's experiencing this, where your body is processing things that are happening in the world, and what's happening in the world is inviting you to let go of your old story or your old pain or your old anger or whatever it is. Not through thought, not through processing, but just through release in whatever way that is. So are you being invited to allow your body finally to grieve for the loss that you had? It might be a loss of a marriage. And because here's the thing, like some people, they cry a lot. But in the midst of crying, they're making themselves wrong. So that grieving, right? They're making themselves wrong. And so they're never quite letting it all go. Are you just willing to not make yourself right or make yourself wrong? Are you just willing to let it flow and get it all out? If it means you need to wail for the day, are you willing to wail for the day? Right? Like wail as in cry. If you need to like shut everybody out, are you willing to do it fully until you have expended it all? And are you willing to, in that whole process, not make yourself wrong or right? Just be in it. Feel it. Go to the depths of it. If it asks you to ask questions, ask questions. If it asks you to embrace, are you willing to energetically embrace that part of you that feels alone and sad? And then at the end, when you cried your last tear, are you willing to look and feel the space and ask, what now? What would I like to fill it up with now? Like how would I like to move forward now? Right? I'm just going to leave it there. I'd love to go into some of the other emotions, but for this one, I would just like to stay with grief being one that is super important for us to honor, not to fix, not to understand, but to allow it to move through our body, to honor the part of ourselves that has lost something, to honor the part of ourselves that is grieving for someone else, and to not make it wrong. And not even to make it right. Please keep the questions coming. Thank you so much. And in the space below, if you'd like to make any comments, feel free. And what else is possible in your life? What else is possible now? The more that you're really tapping into you, honoring your emotions, and honoring the sensations that are coming to you, as well as all the energy. What kind of fulfillment and connection is available to you that you haven't even tapped into, except for the surface maybe so far? Thank you so much. Again, it's Tara McCullum with Beyond This Reality, and I look forward to more of your questions, more of your comments, and listening to more of how your life is opening up to greater fulfillment, to emerge into full color and greater connection. Thanks.